Welcome to Mainland Television Regional News. I'm Graham O'Brien with the weekly news roundup. People around the country united last weekend to show their concerns to the New Zealand Government about the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement currently under negotiation, with an estimated 10,000 strong nationwide protest. Many were there to voice their concerns over what some commentators believe offers a threat to New Zealand's sovereignty and the ability of future governments to act in the people's best interests. Under the leaked controversial conditions in the TPPA being negotiated in secret between America, New Zealand and 9 other Pacific Rim countries. Over 300 Nelsonians braved the weekend's drought-breaking weather to add their voices. Mainland News talked with Professor Janekelsey, Associate Dean of Auckland University, about recent developments and asked people on the streets of Nelson their views on this issue. Professor Janekelsey, thank you very much for joining us. I know that how busy you are, preparing to go to Hawaii to chase up the negotiators there for the next round of the talks for the TPP. Yesterday, huge numbers again, fantastic turnout, especially for Nelson in the rain, over 300 here, 1,600 in Auckland, 1,500 in Wellington, 3,500 in Christchurch. I mean, it's fantastic to see people coming out and really standing up. How do you feel about the numbers and how do you feel about the Prime Minister's response last night?
Well, I think the numbers are absolutely amazing, especially given the weather. And the interesting thing from Auckland was that there were new faces. So if we add them onto those who came out in November and then last March, there is a real groundswell in this country. And the Prime Minister's response is just insulting. He suggests people don't really understand anything about it and they're being misled and they... Yet at the same time, he's not prepared to release any of the documents. So, you don't know what you're talking about, but we're not going to release any documents to show you. So the fact you have to rely on leaked documents means you're ill-informed. Well, there is a logical problem there, as well as it being insulting. But the other thing was he was just doing the trust me, I will never do anything not in New Zealand's national interest. Well, if you look at the Sky City deal negotiated in secret, and this is 1,000 times more serious than that, I don't think people are buying that argument anymore. So people really should be quite incensed about that kind of response from the Prime Minister and let him know.
Yes, well, we certainly are incensed. I know that I am and the people we've talked to so far are. We've got a New Zealand First is putting a bill forward in Parliament soon. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, New Zealand First is sponsoring a members' bill which is very simple. It says no New Zealand government shall include in any international agreement the right of foreign investors to sue us in these offshore tribunals. And it's a similar bill to one that was went to Select Committee in the Australian Senate and has just been introduced into the US Congress. Not sure when it will be pulled out of the ballot, and the big question then will be, will the Labour Party support it going to the Select Committee? And that will be crucial given what we think might happen with the Northland by-election if the government doesn't have a majority. Yes. Of course, if it goes to the Select Committee, then people have an opportunity to have their say about what they think about this special rights of foreign investors to sue the government. And the government should then end up with another clear indication of how people will respond to the TPPA if it has such investor rights in it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And like you say, it's just our democracy working, that the people do have a say, and this is what the Select Committee is for.
It's absolutely crucial. And if the government's not even prepared to allow that to go to Select Committee so people can express their view, they can give away any pretense that this is any kind of democratic process. And they've, of course, been insisting falsely that Parliament will have a say on these matters and that the people will be consulted once the deal is done. Well, apart from the fact that that's meaningless and useless, they can't shut the door on this. But I have to say that a petition that went to Parliament in 2010 was only heard by the Select Committee last month, and so they're certainly in no hurry to be able to allow people's voice to be heard.
Yeah, no, and I mean, as we're always told, never sign anything until you've read it.
Yes, well, they will have read it. I'm not sure the Minister will have read every detail of the many thousands of pages, but they'll have read it, but we won't have had a chance to, nor indeed will any of the opposition parties whose hands will be tied in the future by this deal.
That's right. And Jane, the next three months are vitally important for us. Can you give us a bit of an update on what's happening?
Yes, there is a really important time pressure because the US President wants to get this deal through under his watch. And for that to happen, because of course they've got elections later next year, they have to have a deal done, we reckon, by June. That's 3 months from now. And it's pretty touch and go at present. It's really important, therefore, that as much pressure is put on as possible so that the government at this end thinks twice about it, as well as in the other countries that are involved, where people, both on the streets and in their various parliaments, are giving a similar message to their governments.
Sure, no, that's fantastic. So we can write to the Select Committee and we can make some pressure from ourselves, from our homes, in fact, from our computers. Is that correct?
Yes, but the submissions process on the New Zealand First Bill hasn't opened yet.
Yeah.
So people need to taihoa on that until it's there, and It's Our Future website will have a splash page on investment that will help people make their submissions on that. But people should now be writing to their local MP, to the Labour Party, who are still sitting on the fence, and of course to the government and its supporting parties, to tell them that they don't want this deal done in their name.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Janekelsey. And you're off to Hawaii, so you'll be able to glean a little bit more information for us, do you think?
Yes, even though they're not announcing these negotiations, we were able to find out several weeks ago where the officials are meeting next and supposedly putting together the list of matters for ministers to decide on once they get together. And so we'll be up there hanging around and talking to various people to glean the information that the government won't tell us.
Thanks. And just one last question, Jane. How long have these negotiations been on, and how long have you been actually trying to get some ground towards this agreement?
Well, 5 years the negotiations have been going, and they were on the cards for another 9 months before that, so I suppose almost 6 years. And we have a pretty good idea of what's in there, which is what makes the secrecy all the more bizarre and insulting.
Excellent. Jane, thanks very much on our behalf for all the work that you do, and good luck in Hawaii.
And great work down on Saturday for you guys in Nelson.
Excellent. Thank you, Jane. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
There were over 10,000 people protesting the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement around the country on Saturday. What is your opinion on the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement?
I'm not very happy at all, actually. I think that they need to keep right out of our politics, and that our government has a responsibility to govern New Zealand for New Zealanders, not for other countries.
Okay. I think it's inevitable. I think it's, global things should go ahead.
I'm livid, to be honest. It's really basically corporates being able to come into New Zealand and they get the big tick, and if they come in and all of a sudden we decide, hey, we don't want that dropped into our rivers, or hey, people up Victory Square can't afford to buy pharmaceuticals, then we're in trouble. So we can be sued. I know it's a dangerous bit of legislation. Yeah, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, I'm not very happy, no.
I'm totally against that agreement. To me, all our freedom, our democracy, our Christian heritage is being totally destroyed by this order.
What do you feel about US corporations being able to challenge our laws?
Totally against it. Absolutely, totally against it. Again, New Zealand for New Zealanders, really. if people want to come to our country and make a life here, that's fine, especially if it's a better life than where they've been. But for another country to come in and try and put their values and their systems of economic planning and how they run their country onto our country, it's got no place here.
On the face of it, I don't like the sound of it, but I think that's a very simplistic summary of what the treaty says.
That should be taken completely out. I know there's a South Korean a trade agreement with South Korea that Key's working on at the moment. I think it's the end of the month, and that's got that something called ISID or something's got that in it, and that needs to come out. It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
It's total loss of our freedom as a democracy. If this continues, we become slaves.
Should a private corporate tribunal be able to overturn our High Court rulings?
I don't like the sound of that.
I'm totally against all these things.
Absolutely non-democratic, disgusting. The people on the bottom will be really badly off. The people on the top probably won't affect them.
The Nelson Provincial Museum is a place where all the family can go and learn something new. Currently, their newest natural history exhibition, A Pandemonium of Parrots, is now open in their education room upstairs. But also, for those of us who share the history of having a member of their family serve in the First World War, the ongoing tales of the local men and women are available for viewing in the World War I Their Stories, Our History exhibition. We caught up with museum CEO Peter Millward to find out more about this 100 Years commemoration exhibition.
We're at the Nelson Provincial Museum, and this is Peter Millward. We're going to talk about the World War I exhibition. Can you tell us how the exhibition is going and what kind of visitors you're receiving?
Well, at the moment, I guess the way you judge whether the exhibition is working, in the main community hall there are 2,600 names, and over 620 of those names have now been remembered by family, and that's a wonderful response. We're looking at 1914, so it's mostly about the soldiers training and after they've enlisted and then going away first to Egypt. And then in 1915, of course, first they have a battle along the Suez Canal against the Turks, and then when they repelled the Turks from the canal, then Britain decided that they were going to invade the Dardanelles, and that's what our story will be about when we open on Anzac Day. It'll be about Gallipoli.
All right. And what would you say is your most important piece?
I think the most significant thing is that the whole of the exhibition is about real Nelson people and their real stories. Now, what's not immediately evident in the hall at the moment is that 1 in 4 of the men who went away died. And so at the moment we've only had 2 Nelson men die. That is going to get dramatically, sadly worse once the invasion of Gallipoli starts to be commemorated.
And do you think you can still see the impact of the war here in New Zealand today?
Yeah, absolutely. You only have to look at the couples or the elderly people who come into the hall and they see their father's name or their uncle's name on the wall, and when we put a poppy beside their name, tears are quite common.
How long is the exhibition running exactly? Because now we have the commemoration.
Well, we're producing the exhibition over our intention is to do it over a 4-year period. So we will commemorate particular events and soldiers' deaths on the centenary of when they occurred. So we're not talking about Gallipoli at the moment, because at the moment they're still fighting along the Suez Canal. Come April of 1915, that's when the troops moved to Gallipoli. That's when we'll start telling the story about Gallipoli.
Some food banks around the country are having trouble with people double dipping, which has led to supply shortages. It is unfortunate that a small number of people are taking advantage of this volunteer safety net. We sent Leonard along to ask if Nelson's food bank has the same problem and how are they coping at this time.
Today we're talking to Mike Gibson of the Nelson Food Bank. Have you had any people trying to take advantage of the system by trying to get more than their fair share?
Yes, there's always somebody that tries to get something, but we have a list of people, and if they exceed their entitlements, well, we know who they are. But on the other hand, if somebody wants to pull the strings a bit just to get a few extra tins of spaghetti and that, well, they're welcome to it.
Okay, and have you seen an increase in the families coming here lately?
Yes, there's been a big increase in family numbers. It's becoming quite common to have at least four children in the family, 4 up to 6. So when we supply a food parcel for that number of people, for 8 people, it's a lot of food that goes out of here.
And how do you think the winter affects the demand for food here?
Well, the winter wasn't, going back to last winter, wasn't as bad as what a lot of people would have anticipated. November was our worst month last year, and just last week was probably the worst week I've seen in 5 years. So it's got nothing to do with the winter.
What do you think is driving people to come here? Is it the high prices of food in supermarkets?
Well, I'm not sure that the food is altogether that dear. You know, if you follow around the specials like I do, I treat this as a business and try to shop for the best buys, and you know, there is good cheap food out there. But I don't know why we got a peak like we did last week.
So, but you're actually a business that tries to get as least customers as possible.
Yeah, yes, we're a funny business. We want as much funds and help as we can get, but we don't want any clients. Yes, that's a fact. That's a bit strange, really.
So, where do you get your food from typically?
Well, it's being donated from several sources. There's groups around the town that have in-house collections. We have donation bins at Fresh Choice and New World supermarkets, and I pick up quite a quantity of good produce from them every week. But the majority of it, it's last Saturday we would have spent nearly $400 at Countdown. So we've still got to buy. Yeah.
You don't receive anything directly from the supermarkets?
Oh, I think they put some items into the donation bins that is, you know, up to its best buy date and best use date rather, and yeah, we do get some surpluses. Yeah.
And do you work together with any other charities like the Salvation Army, for example?
Well, people get a bit mixed up. I deliver a food parcel and they say, "Oh, you're from the Salvation Army." Well, we're not. The food bank is a different identity in itself. We supply the food parcels that the Salvation Army clients have requested, and not only the Salvation Army, St Vincent de Paul, Budget Advice, Family Start, Decoraway Trust, and Butte over here in the car park. Yeah, they're all agency of the food bank, and they send their requests to us, and we pack the parcels, and we find the funds, buy the produce, pack the parcels, and deliver them.
And do you feel that you receive enough recognition for your hard work?
Went to the Salvation Army and said, I'm starting to find a tendency amongst some of the clients to take us for granted that they that it's whether it's an obligation or it's a right to a food parcel. Well, it's not. It comes from charity, and there's a few that they may be. I don't think they're taking us for advantage, but they're not showing the appreciation that we used to get The AGM of the committee that runs the food bank is in May, and they're very much in need of a suitable person to take over the fundraising for the food bank.
So that's food for thought. Thank you very much.
41 is a number of call-outs for our Nelson Marlborough Rescue Helicopter Service for the month of February. Accident and emergency make up approximately 98% of their missions, and much of this work is in the 3 national parks and remote locations in which the service operates. In an online poll last month, where people were asked if missing trampers should pay a fee for their rescue, 85% said yes, while 15% of those polled said no. The service relies on charity and fundraising for its continued service. With their latest plan to raise funds is by registering 2 teams in the Spring Challenge this year for the 6-hour race. They are looking for more wanting to join their team, who are willing to have fun while fundraising for the rescue helicopter with only 2 spots left. This event will be taking place in Wanaka over the weekend of the 25th and 27th of September. You can contact the Nelson Marlborough Rescue Helicopter Trust through their Facebook page. Following up on our story about Nelson's young up-and-coming skaters heading off to Australasian competitions, we found a somewhat different story than was first reported. Here is Coach Alan Bartlett to give us the details.
Last time we interviewed you, you were quite excited for the Oceania speed skating competition, but something went wrong. What happened?
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate, but the Australian section of the competition decided not to put forward too many skaters, so it started to make it uneconomic for the New Zealand people to enter and travel over there to compete. Yeah, so that basically meant that decisions were made to not carry on with that competition this year, which was very unfortunate.
Everything just dropped, basically, no?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened, and it was disappointing for us because Nelson hasn't had a representative in that level for some time, and it was really good that Zahn was able to be involved in that team. However, she's quite young and she's got a lot of opportunities ahead of her for more competition internationally, so we're looking forward to that now rather than looking back. Yeah.
So on Saturday you're doing an event at the Trolley Derby. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, part of the tour that the Nelson Club has organised, we are involved with an uphill race up the Collingwood Street where the Trolley Derby is being held, and we're going to be doing that around about 1 o'clock, I think, on Saturday afternoon. Okay, so the Top of the South speed skating tour that's being run over the weekend consists of 6 stages and a number of races taking place in each stage. We'll be starting on the Saturday morning at the new boulevard by the Maitai River and doing some sprint races, 2-man sprint races. We then head up to the Collingwood Street and do our uphill climb. We will then be heading out to Saxton's Field, where we have a track we create on the car parking area, and then some of the road system as well. So that's several of the stages. On Sunday we head over to Blenheim and we are doing some racing at the go-kart track in Blenheim, and after that we go to their bank track and finish off the racing at the bank track. So it's quite an involved session that we have for all the skaters. We've got approximately 30 skaters coming from out of Nelson, and we have about 10 skaters of our own competing. So it's going to be quite a major event. Some of those skaters have competed at World Championships, and a number of them have competed in the Oceania Championships in the past. So we've got some quite competent and very proficient skaters taking part in our competition, which is fantastic.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region. Spectacular road safety demonstrations, complete with fast cars, cut-out figures and fake blood, are being held in local neighbourhoods across Nelson City next week to help slow down drivers. The series of neighbourhood park gatherings are being held in the evenings, and residents are encouraged to come along with a picnic tea and enjoy the demonstrations. Supported by the Nelson City Council, these demonstrations will show how far a car will travel with and without ABS braking at different speeds when the driver brakes. They will also bring home to drivers the consequences of speed in a built-up area, and to children the dangers of stepping out in front of a moving vehicle. In addition, there will be displays from citizens' advice, emergency management, neighbourhood support, and 2 interactive displays demonstrating blind spots for reversing drivers and how difficult it is for a truck driver to see cyclists. Some roads will be closed for these demonstrations from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Check with the council for more information. Niles Street between Elton Street and Collingwood Street on Monday the 16th, and there's a picnic at Nelson Central School grounds. Beasley Walk to Hunanui Beach Reserve by the playing fields on Tuesday the 17th, picnic at Te Hunanui Playing Field. Tipper High Street between Tukaka Street and Motueka Street on Thursday the 19th, and the picnic is at Nelson Intermediate Lawn. Edify Crescent from North intersection with State Highway 6 to Rainbow Drive on Friday the 20th, and the picnic is at Corder Park.
Hi, I'm John McMillan at the Nelson Power Tool Centre. We have great prices on all the top quality brands of power tools. Tools and equipment at our showroom 146 Te Hunanui Drive in Nelson. The Nelson Power Tool Centre, the specialists that stand behind and service what we sell.
Oh, to be healthy.
Lifestyle, diet and exercise, complemented with quality supplements, can provide you the insurance vital for your natural health and well-being. With over 10 years professional experience making some of New Zealand's most trusted nutritional supplement brands, visit the Oh to Be Healthy factory outlet in Wakatu Industrial Estate. Over 200 supplements to choose from, free on-site parking, no middleman.
Oh, to be healthy. Caring for you naturally.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more.
JCar. 120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air. World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.